Hello, everybody. Today, I'm going to tell you a story which was pretty scary when it happened. Then it turned out to be an interesting, almost an amusing story. What happened is back in 1987, I was running a motel in Edwards, Mississippi, a small town on Interstate 20. We used to get a lot of traffic from the highway, the interstate, people traveling between Texas and Florida and stuff like that. We also got some local business. We also got some commercial business. So it's kind of a nice, um, you know, good clientele, like diversified sources. Everything was good. One thing I did, and I was told not to, was to open the door of my office at any hour to let the customer in and register. Now, most places, even in those days, didn't do that. They had a little night window, and they would, you know, deal with the customer through that window. They used to have a little slot for the money to go and things like that. I just felt stupid, I guess, that I shouldn't do that because, hey, customers shouldn't feel that this is an unsafe place. So I used to keep my doors open. Anybody just could walk in. Of course, I used to keep it locked, and then if somebody showed up who looked real bad, then like a drunk or somebody who was on drugs, then I wouldn't let him in. But most of the times, people were just truck drivers and tourists and locals and just come in and rent a room. One late evening, it must have been about close to midnight, doorbell rang. I was in my house, which was in the back. I was watching television, I guess. I just came out and opened the door, and here's this big guy. He must be 6'3" or 6'4", big black guy. He reminded me of Amjad Khan. Instantly, I thought that this is a black copy of Amjad Khan. I just looked at him, and he had bloodshot eyes. He just walked in. He kind of, staggered in, almost staggered in, put his hand on the counter, and I was already behind the counter, and he said, "I need a room." I said, "Sure." He looked okay, I've seen people drunk before. He wasn't that drunk. At least he knew what he wanted. Anyway, I turned the form, the little thing you fill out. What do you call that? Slip. And he said, "Write down Big Daddy." I said, "Pardon me?" He said, "Write down Big Daddy." So I just looked at him. I said, "Is that your name?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "I don't know you. I need an ID." So he just looks at me as if I'm a little fly and he's going to just squish me. He said, "What? What say you?" I said, "Well, I need some kind of an ID. I don't think your name is Big Daddy." He just looks at me, leans forward. I can smell some liquor. But I just keep my stand and just stare right back at him. I am so scared inside. All he had to do was to do this, and I'll be nowhere. But somehow I got the courage to look at him, look right into his eyes and say, "Sorry, that's the rule. So he just stares at me even more. And then he gives that typical smile, a kind of a, how would you say, resigning sign, I would call it, smile, and reached for his pocket. And for a second I thought, God, hope he doesn't bring a gun out. He didn't. He had a wallet, a thick, big wallet, and he just put it on the table for me. He said, there's my ID in it. Please get it. He even used the word pleased. And I just very gingerly took his wallet and opened it. And there it was in the window, his ID. His name was somebody, something Jones. So he said, oh, you're right. So I understood. I thought maybe he was too drunk to write. Maybe he didn't write too well. So I wrote his name. He was a local person. That driver's license which he showed me was for a commercial vehicle license. So he was obviously a truck driver. So I wrote down his name and address and his, driver's license number. And then I looked out and I said, where is your car? He said, that Pontiac there. I said, okay. So I write Pontiac. And then he gives, I don't take the money from his wallet. I just give it back to him. I said, that'll be $23.49 or whatever it was at that time. So he gave me a couple of $20 bills, something like that. I don't remember exactly what. And after I took the money, I handed him the keys, and he just looked at me. He said, my man, you all right? So I said, you all right too, Big Daddy. Now, if you come next time, you won't have to do all this. I know you're Big Daddy. And he stretched his hand out, big hand. His fingers were like bananas, and shook my hand gently and just smiled at me, took the key and walked off. My heart was beating, but I was fine. I don't know how I got that courage to do that, but sometimes, it just happens. He would show up once in a while. He would just come through the door, smiling, big ear-to-ear grin, and say, hey, man. Hi, my man. And I would hand over the key to him and said, hey, Big Daddy, that'll be so much. And he would just dish out the money, everything taken care of. Never bothered me, never made a nuisance of himself. Just went to his room, probably with his girlfriend or wife or whoever, none of my business, and took off early in the morning. That was Big Daddy. I wonder where he is now. He could be still in Mississippi in Edwards, or he could have moved somewhere. But man, he sure was big. And he really, really resembled Amjad Khan. Believe me, I'm not joking. I wish I had his picture. I would share it with you guys. Amazing. This is one of the many intriguing stories about my motel life. Some more, some other time.